And sometimes if I had multiple stories running in my mind and all those people to manage, I'm not sure how I would shut it off. How do you do that?
I don't know that I've ever shut it off, but I think it moves into a different part of my brain. Once I leave the set, or I leave the office, or I'm not writing that day, and I'm just home and I'm watching Seinfeld or something for the umpteenth time, there's a part of the back of my brain that is still working out a scene that I was struggling with. There's still like wondering why that cut didn't work, or what's a better music choice. But it's not at the front of my brain. So I'm not thinking about it consciously, so it's not quite so stressful. Again, I sleep and I try to enjoy my life, and I try not to be consumed by the job, because it's a real easy, there's no limit to how far down the rabbit hole you can go as a showrunner. You can, if you want to, you can get involved in every single aspect of this production to the nth degree. You walk into the, go talk to the sound guys for hours, go to the art department and spend all day there. But I choose not to do that, and I try to delegate those things and trust the people that I have, and just try to keep the big picture in mind, because as the showrunner, I kind of feel like my job is to deliver the show. Like, I deliver the show. I don't deliver a piece of the show. I'm the guy that has to deliver the whole show. So I try to always keep the big picture in mind, and where is the show working overall is really my big concern.
And did you ever have a moment, Star Trek, Battlestar, For All Mankind, Outlander, and all the many others, where you felt like you were losing control?
There's times when you feel, something has gone wrong, the budget comes in. Usually what happens when I would feel like, wow, the floor just fell away, is when you thought you knew that you were going to be able to make an episode for a number, and then the bids come in and you're like, wow, it's like twice as much as we thought.
Right.
And then you're like so close to production, usually now you've got to revamp and rework and re-break the whole thing all over again, and it's scary because you realize there's domino effects about all the shows you planned after that. So there's moments in production that are scary. We're like, oh, holy shit, how are we going to get out of this? Like, this is a real problem. Usually those are just production that gives me that kind of fear. Usually on the writing and the creative front, if we're having problems in the writer's room, it's usually go home and sleep on, we'll figure it out tomorrow. Or if I'm having a struggle on a page, smoke pot, watch Seinfeld.
I was waiting for that one, because that's just the best solution.
The answer will come. The answer will get there somehow. And you try to just believe that you're going to work it out. And eventually you work them all out. So.
Do you remember, this is a moment from our history, right? So, and the reason I bring it up, it's along those lines where there was a moment of, I experienced it as a creative pause. And I think it was right at the beginning of season 2, but I'm not very good with all that, so you might remember better. And the reason I'm bringing it up is it stayed with me as an actress as a lesson, which I loved, right? We finished a read through, and you and I were sitting next to each other, I think, or near each other, and everybody gets up to leave, as they do after a read through. They go out to smoke or whatever it is quickly, and we both didn't get up. And you turned to me and you said, and I stayed too, we just stayed, and you said, Mary, I'm not sure where to go with her. Do you remember this?
I remember that conversation. I don't remember it was after a table read, though. Yeah.
I think it was. Well, maybe it wasn't.
Really?
But I said, I know. And we looked at each other because we were in a blank. And that's not normal. You know what I mean, right? It isn't. It's sort of, you think as a creative person in what we do, if you get to that point, that's a bad thing. And yet I remember it didn't feel bad. It felt interesting.
I kind of remember,
right?
Yeah, I kind of remember that moment, because I remember there was just a big question mark about where to go from here. And I remember feeling comfortable enough to admit that to you.
Yes, I know.
We'd worked together long enough, I knew you weren't going to call your agent or something.
Yeah. This guy doesn't like me. He won't write for me. No, not at all.
And there was an opportunity in that too, because we can now do whatever we wanted, because it was kind of a blank next. And
Yes.
we didn't know what it was going to be. So then the next question is, well, what could it be?
Right.
You know, and what are the options, and which way could we go with it?
That's right. And I remember that I went home that night and I was thinking how I felt liberated in a way, because as you work as an actor, you get better and better at working in the blank spaces. And if you can keep going back to the nothing, your character, Laura, certainly didn't know what was ahead. I mean, none of this was in her way. So it kind of changed the way that I approached Laura, because you were comfortable, and it actually changed the way I approached the work. So doing a TV series now and not knowing where I'm going is like my favorite thing. And people always say, did you talk to the writers, and what is it you wanted the writers to do for you? And I say, no, I just like to see. And it was from that moment. So I thank you, my friend, for that. Now,